Well, there are also concerns the conflict may escalate along Israel's northern border. Israeli forces conducted their deepest airstrike into Lebanese territory yet this weekend, and fighting continued with Hezbollah forces late into last night. Rebecca Collard has the latest.
We saw more exchanges of fire across that border between Lebanon and Israel this morning, but nothing compared to, Natalie, what we saw yesterday. And I'll just say, I was in South Lebanon yesterday at a center for some of the people that were displaced by that fighting here in Lebanon that had fled a bit north in a city called Tyre. It's on the coast. It's about 20 kilometers from the border with Israel. And even there in the distance, we could hear this kind of light thud again and again of strikes in South Lebanon. And, if you can imagine for these people that have fled from near the border, and a lot of them told me, Natalie, that, they only left when rockets really hit close to their home. Now they've been sometimes for weeks in a displacement shelter, and they can still hear, the thud of this cross-border exchange. It is, I think, a very difficult situation for people. And of course, the fear is that this could escalate even further, and that will mean more displacement here and a second front in this war, Natalie.
So, Rebecca, how is Israel's fight with Hezbollah impacting its military operations in Gaza and in the West Bank?
Yeah, Natalie, I think that's a really excellent question, and one that's a little bit hard for us to answer with a lot of certainty because, of course, we're not in Israel's war room and there is information that they're not giving to the press. But what I will say, of course, is because even though what we've seen is relatively limited back and forth of exchange on Israel's northern border. Of course, this means that, Israel has had to keep quite a strong military presence on their northern border with Lebanon because they do fear this second front. And along with those exchanges of fire, there has also been, of course, a ramping up of rhetoric about what either Iran or Hezbollah will do if Israel escalates its military operations in Gaza. And we don't know where that line is, Natalie. But of course, for the Israelis, they really have to keep that. It means at the very least, it's a distractionary measure for Israeli military operations. And I think the goal for Hezbollah, for example, at the moment here is also that it is a deterrent for Israel ramping up those military operations in Gaza and also in the West Bank. And, how much that's really impacting what they would be doing otherwise, it's difficult for us to say. But I think that there's those 2 points, really, Natalie. One, that this, of course, is a deterrent factor. And second of all, of course, it means that Israel is having to keep forces on all these different fronts because they are, of course, concerned that a second front could open here, and they want to be prepared for that, Natalie.